Thomas Alva Edison was born on February 11th, 1847, in Milan, Ohio. He was the youngest of 7 children born to Samuel and Nancy Elliott Edison. The family moved to Port Huron, Michigan, when Thomas was 7 years old. He attended school for a short time where his teachers didn't think he was very bright. His mother ended up homeschooling him, and after some time, Edison began teaching himself. By the time Al, as he was called, was 12, he had set up a chemistry laboratory in his cellar where he spent most of his time. He also had a job selling newspapers at the Grand Trunk Railroad, where he also conducted chemical experiments in a baggage car laboratory. At 16 years old, he left home and began a 4-year period of travel through the Midwest as a roaming telegrapher. During these years, he read about a lot of subjects. He also experimented with telegraph technology and began studying electrical science. Edison spent the year in Boston, where he worked as a telegrapher. He spent his free time taking things apart to see how they work. A year later, he files his first patented invention, the electrical vote recorder. When no one bought it, Edison vows to only invent things people want to buy. Moving to New York City the next year, he became an inventor for major telegraph companies and used the money he made to open a manufacturing shop in New York. Edison invented an improved version of the stock ticker. At this time, he also hired experimental machinists to help him make and sell these inventions. Many of these men, that he called muckers, worked with Edison for the rest of his life. As telegraphs got more complex, Edison felt the need to learn more about electromagnetism and chemistry. As a result, he put electrical and chemical laboratories into his machine shop. Edison created the world's first industrial research facility, including a machine shop and laboratories in Menlo Park, New Jersey. Edison was working on creating a better phone to compete with Alexander Graham Bell when he discovered a way to record sound. The first recording ever on a phonograph was Edison reciting Mary Had a Little Lamb. This brought him world fame as the Wizard of Menlo Park. After a year working on electric lighting and over 100 experiments, Edison and his muckers finally made a light that lasted for more than 13 hours, along with other inventions to make it work, like wires and switches. When Edison is 42 years old, he moves his laboratory to West Orange, New Jersey, where he stayed for 44 years, inventing the motion picture camera and advancing the phonograph. He had the factories that produced his inventions near the laboratory buildings. Edison spends time at his iron mine in Odensburg, New Jersey, trying to invent a method to separate the ore from the rock. The mine is a failure and he loses millions of dollars. However, this led to another business, selling the waste sand from the manufacturing process used by the Edison Ore Milling Company to cement manufacturers. By the next decade, Edison spends most of his energy working on an improved battery for electric cars. Most of his batteries are used on trains and in mines. This is Edison's biggest money maker. The U.S. Congress awarded Edison with a Congressional Gold Medal. Edison was married twice, the first time to Mary Stilwell from 1871 to her death at age 29 in 1884. They had 3 children, Marion, Thomas Alva Jr., and William. 2 years later, he married Mina Miller. They were married for 45 years until his death and had 3 children, Madeline, Charles, and Theodore. None of his children had children of their own. The National Park Service turns Edison's home and laboratory into a national park called the Edison's National Historic Site.
Standing outside the Thomas Edison Historical Park, the site of Edison's labs and workshops beginning in 1887, when he relocated from Menlo Park and lasting for 44 years. Let's go inside.
The watch was slow. He looked at the water and the water was low. He turned to the fireman and he said, we're going to reach Frisco, but we'll all be dead. Take me, Joe, going to reach Frisco. Take me, Joe, but we'll all be dead. Yes, we have no bananas. We have no bananas today. We split beans and onions, cabbages and scallions, and all kinds of fruit.
Edison was finding ways to record music. Here are some examples of the phonographs from 1877 to 1928. We have the recording telegraph, which recorded all the music and then played it back. The first real phonograph, improved tinfoil, wax cylinder phonographs, and it keeps going on until this one is my personal favorite. It's basically a jukebox, but instead of playing out loud, you would need to wear a pair of headphones that look like a stethoscope. So, it costs a nickel. That was about it was a lot of money back then. I don't know the exact amount, but it was a lot. Some more examples of the phonographs are bigger, some are smaller, but they all basically do the same thing. They all play something that has been recorded by earlier phonographs or that. And an electrically powered phonograph. It looks like a record player to me. Think about how quickly things change now. It took 50 years to get from the beginning to this, and now we're getting better music players every year and a half maybe. This is one of Edison's least successful commercial ideas. While it is cool that it is the earliest surviving talking doll record made by Edison in 1888, would your sister want one of these? This has been preserved here since it was recorded. In 2011, scientists at the Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory recovered sound from the 123-year-old artifact. It hadn't been heard since Edison's lifetime. Creepy, huh? We're here in the Edison chemistry lab, where Edison spent a lot of time making new rubbers and sources for new inventions. This is basically where every invention started, because it all goes down to the chemistry. This must have been an amazing place to be working. It's amazing to think how many ideas came out of these walls. Edison and his team had nearly 2,000 patents that have made our lives better today.